inspo I was looking for was turning into insecurities. Me sitting there like I'm Regina George in a burn book. Man, wish I had that kind of time. And then you buy it and then you're like, oh, but I don't like this. Hi, hello, it's troy-nicole, and today you're actually seeing my face outside of a vlog, which is not normal for me because outside of like vlogs that are reading vlogs and regular vlogs, I don't really show my face on here very often anymore. But I thought that today's video would be better if it wasn't just you watching me journal or do something at my desk, and more so face to face explaining what I mean and all that stuff. So I haven't been in the Halloween spirit recently. I don't know why, because it's my favorite season, my favorite holiday. But I do have on my little Halloween earrings. I don't know if you can see this far, but I have on a ghosty and a pumpkin. I got them from Kohl's like 2 years ago, I think. Have my little pumpkin mug. This is my favorite mug ever. I got it from TJ Maxx, I think. One of those. Something that is owned by Home Goods. I got this from. I also have my notes because y'all know I am the last person that should do anything just going with the flow. I'm not that person. So let's get into the video. A little sip of coffee and we're going to start. I also have on this Taylor Swift hoodie that my friend got me for my birthday. It says "'Tis the Damn Season," which is like one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs ever, with a little football on it. I'm not even sure if you guys can see. I'm looking at my mirror, but I think you guys can see part of it. I don't know. We're in the fall mood even though it's like 80 degrees outside here in Houston, but whatever. Anyway, y'all know I don't like long intros, so no dilly-dallying. Let's get into it. I don't know what it is, but I get a lot of questions about how I do things, how I stay consistent, how I do lots of journaling stuff, which is why I made a journaling series on this channel. And I love those questions. I love answering them and I love helping people. But then I get comments on the other end of it, and I get comments that are like, oh, my journal will never look like that. I could never do that. I'm not this artistic, I'm not this creative, blah, 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 blah. And it makes me feel so bad because the last thing I want to do is post something that's making you guys feel bad or making anyone feel bad. Even if it's not my intention, you know. I think it can be your intent to do good and help people, and then like the after effects of it may not always be great. So not saying that every one of my comments are like that, but a lot of them are. And it got me to thinking just how much social media plays a huge part in how we handle hobbies. And I think a big part of that is the fact that we as a society have gotten to a place where we have equated having a large following, being famous, having lots of money, and doing something means it's the right way to do something. And I think that's also why we've seen like an influx of influencers and like just people who not are influencers but do social media just as a little fun side hustle, of them kind of doing the unaesthetic versions of their lives, which are just for people like me and you, or our normal lives, because we're not rich, we don't have lots of money. It's just how we go day by day. It's not aesthetic, it's just normal, I guess. Which is interesting because my videos are also part of that. I do strive to make my videos appear more aesthetic and more appealing to the eye. I think I'm a little bit more aesthetic on TikTok than I am here. On here, I'm the person who during a journal flip through accidentally does not record part of it and has to finish the recording on her bed because she's too lazy to go back to her desk. So I'm that here, but then on TikTok I kind of try to make everything aesthetic. I try to make everything look perfect, but I think it's because with short form content you do kind of have to grip people. So I think that might be why I tend to be aesthetically pleasing on TikTok and not so much here. But I think a large part of this kind of stems from the pandemic and back when a lot of people had nothing to do and were stuck in the house. Not everybody, because plenty of people had really hard times during the pandemic, but a lot of people went to TikTok and started putting their hobbies on TikTok, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I put my hobbies on TikTok. I put my hobbies on YouTube, on Instagram, wherever. But what started off as people playfully posting some of their favorite things on TikTok became their way of life, was putting food and on the table and paying their light bills, which is great. But I think that also opened the door to a lot of perfectionism, which is why I think when you look at my videos or someone else's videos, another creator's videos, and you're like, oh, I can't do this. Oh, what's the point of me trying this out? I'll never do that. That's where I think all that stems from. So there are 3 things I think kind of go connected with this. Number 1 is you're buying things that you don't want, that you don't need, and that you're not going to use within a month, if not a week. That hyperfixation will open my ass, yo ass, Dedrick's ass in Wisconsin, everybody's ass. Okay. Now, I'm not saying you need to be a minimalist or anything. You don't need to be a minimalist. You don't need to be a maximalist. You don't need to do any of those things. You don't have to be one extreme to the other. If you want to be, great, but if you don't want to be, that's fine. But what I am saying is you don't need every pen, every journal. You don't need a Leuchtturm just because 5 creators you've seen have used Leuchtturms. You don't need a Moleskine, whatever, just because I'm using it or the next person is using it. You don't need a 𝚗𝚌𝚖𝚎 because everyone's posting videos about the 𝚗𝚌𝚖𝚎 2025 lineup. You don't need a Midori just because I was like, you know what, I've cracked my code. I need Midoris. Goodbye, 𝚗𝚌𝚖𝚎. You don't need that. What's happening is you're watching these videos, you're seeing these top creators post them, and then in your head you're like, oh, I need this, I need that, I need this pilot, I need that 𝚗𝚌𝚎, I need this, and this, and that. And then you buy it, and then you're like, oh, but I don't like this. This marker does not work with my paper because my GSM is low. Or this GSM is too high and I can't use watercolors. I didn't do research on this pen, and now I am using a whole bunch of pens on paper that don't work with fountain pens. All I'm saying is, you don't need all that stuff, boo. You don't, okay? Start off small, baby. Like, number 2, you are letting people's opinions on the hobby you're enjoying outweigh your love for the hobby. Listen, the amount of videos that I post on TikTok and on here, mainly on TikTok though and Instagram, of people going, this is pointless, why do you do this? This is a waste of time and space and paper. This isn't journaling, why are you doing this? Like, oh no, Sally from Denver doesn't like my journal. Sally from Denver is saying what I'm doing is pointless and I don't deserve my followers, or I don't deserve this and that. I guess it's time for me to throw out my supplies and start solving math problems as fun. Like, come on, Sally. Nobody gives a. And I'm guilty of this too. Sometimes I get comments on my videos and I'm just like, I could get in your ass right now, but I'm not going to. Or another comment I get a lot is, oh my god, I'm so glad someone's finally writing in their journals. All these other journals aren't journals, they're just collages. We get keeping paper now? That's crazy. And what kills me about it is, if I go buy a bounded journal, this bound book that has nothing but paper in it, is that not a journal? I don't get it. I honestly don't care if somebody is writing nothing. If someone's doing this, if someone's just writing and nothing but writing, I don't care. I don't care if someone is doodling in their journals and using it as half of a sketchbook. I don't care if somebody is collaging in their journal. It's still a journal. It doesn't change the definition of what they're using it for. But I say all that to say, you are letting people's comment decide whether or not you're going to do something, or whether or not you're going to continue the way you're doing it. One thing that I told myself when this video went kind of, I don't want to say viral, but it did well on TikTok. Was it last year or year before last? I don't know, one of those. I told myself that something I ought to remind myself, no matter how many followers I got on TikTok or on YouTube, I would remember that regardless of if I was posting every day, once a month, or once a year, does not matter, because in my day-to-day life, I'm still doing this. I'm still reading. I'm still in love with photography. I'm still super obsessed with Tim Burton movies. I don't have to post that there's Tim Burton all over my room or that I have a Nightmare Before Christmas shelf, because you know what? I'm still gonna have all those things regardless if I put it on social media. But you need to ask yourself, if you aren't putting stuff on social media, if you aren't sharing it with the world, would you still do it? If journaling wasn't getting super popular or getting all this traction on TikTok, would you still do it? Or is it the fact that all these people are loving it that are making you do it? Not making you though, because no one's putting it up to your head and telling you to buy journaling supplies. But you know what I mean. At the end of the day, do I get a bunch of hate comments on TikTok? Absolutely. They're so wild to me. I'm just like, damn, you taking 5 minutes out your day, throw some shade at a journal? Man, wish I had that kind of time. But let it be known, all the hate comments in the world, all the little snidey, shisty comments that I get, guess what I'm still doing? Guess what I'm still doing at night? Guess what? I'm still doing the same thing. My journals don't change nothing. You think I'm about to change something that I enjoy because of you? Please. What I need to change is how much I'm buying, because my bank account is crying. I didn't mean to rhyme like that. But not some little shisty ass comment. No ma'am. So stop letting people make you feel bad or make you feel lesser by doing something you like. Across the board, not just about journaling, across the board. Okay. I don't remember if I'm on number 4 or number 5. I think I'm on number 5. But you're in love with romanticization. We're going to go back to the pandemic. And back then, people were obsessed with romanticizing your life because we were in a time that it did not feel like that was possible. A lot of people were scared. We couldn't leave. I'm not going to speak on other countries because I don't know how other countries really were dealing with it. But in America, everything was closed. You couldn't go anywhere. They were maxed up, and I mean, I'm still maxed up, but whatever. And all that. Nothing is wrong with sometimes looking at things through rose-tinted glasses, but the lack of reality and the lack of you being realistic is stopping you from enjoying things. You can't really enjoy a hobby if the most that you enjoy about it is seeing the finished product of someone else's work. And I'm not saying that to be shady or anything like that or whatsoever. I have so many friends on journal TikTok and I see them finish their journals, and in my head I'm just like, oh, they finished a journal and it's so cute, and I'm so far behind, girl. And what does that mean? I'm so far behind. So far behind from what? This is a hobby. I'm not getting paid to do this. Okay, wait. Technically, yes, I do get a little money from doing it on TikTok and YouTube, but that's neither here nor there. It ain't pay no bill, baby. Okay, listen. Influencer status, I am not. But what am I rushing for? Like, what does it matter? The first journal flip through I did on TikTok this year, I think it was in April, and people were just like, oh my god, how did you finish that so fast? Oh my god, I wish you could finish this fast. Why? Girl, the only reason I finished that fast was because I was crying and whining and venting for the first 4 months of this year. I had something really traumatic happen to me last week with one of my family members, and listen, that Midori was getting written in, girl. Not because I have like this idea that I need to finish by the end of the year, or that I need to do this and this and this and this and that and this and that at a certain amount of time, but because I genuinely needed to write something about it. You know what I mean? I'm romanticizing all my mutuals on TikTok because they're finishing something, because they're doing something in a certain way that I have not done. But at the end of the day, I may not like it. What I'm trying to say is you have to try it out yourself, and you have to figure it out yourself and figure out a routine and what you like about it and the results that work for you in order to enjoy it. Somebody else's routine, somebody else's hobby, someone else's love for something can't be the reason you do it. Okay, so now we're going to get into, I think it's 6 tips on how to reclaim, I hate that word because I think that's a buzzword on YouTube, but reclaim your hobbies. Number 1 is either limit or cancel out your time of looking for inspiration. Something that I have done recently, well, in the last year, since I've been doing TikTok with my journals, is that I have been only using Pinterest here and there if I want inspiration. Now, I use Pinterest every day, but I don't use Pinterest every day for inspiration for my hobbies. And that's because I all of a sudden realized that the inspo I was looking for was turning into insecurities. So at this point in my life, I don't look for inspiration, inspo, nothing. Listen, I don't need that. I may look up stuff. For example, the other day I wanted to learn to make a folder so I can put it in one of my other journals. I looked that up to learn how to do it, but I did not look up inspiration kind of like to make it aesthetic or anything. I just wanted to know how to do it, for it to work, for it to be a folder that can go into my 6-ring binder, and that's it. Number 2, if you're limiting yourself from these things, you also need to limit the creators you follow, and that includes me. If it's better for you to unfollow me, unsubscribe to me, whatever, and come back here and there whenever you're like, I wonder what 𝚗𝚊𝚖𝚎, I wonder what troy-nicole is doing right now. That's fine, girl. Do it, babes. It's okay. You know why I gotta be okay? Baby, I've been on YouTube since 2015, and I only got 3,000 followers on here. I'm alright. So if who you're following is making you feel bad, is making you kind of like step back from things that you're enjoying, take it out, baby. Stop following that girl who does the pottery. Stop following that boy who's really good at fashion. Stop following that boy who's really good at cooking. Stop following them. Or mute them. If you want to keep following them to give them, the follow, mute them. Number 3 is kind of common knowledge, but I just want to reiterate this, is that you're seeing the pretty aesthetic side of people's hobbies and people's lives, and that is not reality. Listen, you might have seen me post a short yesterday, the day before, the day before that, the day before that, the day before that, and it's all this pretty handwriting, aesthetic looks, it's filmed out pretty, but what you didn't see is at 2 a.m. the night before, me sitting there like I'm Regina George in a burn book. I'm not always rainbows and sunshine and pretty little doodles and aesthetic little hearts and stars everywhere, girl. Sometimes I'm writing cursive that's so illiterate NASA couldn't decipher it. If y'all want, I'll bring to this channel what I do on TikTok, which is like my mess up series or my journal mishap series, where I talk about all the times I've just effed up my journal. I'll bring it here and make it long form content. Give me a reason to post. Maybe that'll make you feel better if you scribble something out. Let me tell you something, I scribble shit out all the time. Y'all don't see it, 'cause I don't post it, but I do it. I'm not always rainbows and sunshine and pretty little doodles and aesthetic little hearts and stars everywhere, girl. Sometimes I'm writing cursive that's so illiterate NASA couldn't decipher it. If y'all want, I'll bring to this channel what I do on TikTok, which is like my mess up series or my journal mishap series, where I talk about all the times I've just effed up my journal. I'll bring it here and make it long form content. Give me a reason to post. Maybe that'll make you feel better if you scribble something out. Let me tell you something, I scribble shit out all the time. Y'all don't see it, 'cause I don't post it, but I do it. Number 4, recognize that social media has you thinking that you like a lot of things that you don't like. I'm gonna give you an example. Back in the day, when I was in college, early years of college, I started K-pop journaling. I don't like K-pop journaling, y'all. Do I sometimes want to make a spread about, you know, me having mental illness to the point where I'm listening to Still Into You by Jungkook on repeat on YouTube? Absolutely. Do I want to make a spread about a playlist I found on YouTube that has a whole bunch of soft NCT songs? Absolutely. Do I want to make a whole journal dedicated to groups? No. I think I stay in 5 groups. Okay, like really stand, know all their names, know all their discography, used to watch every Read Live, used to be up for the Mamas at 3 a.m. There's about 5 groups that are still together that I do that to. How am I making a whole ass journal for that? I'm not saying you can't. Plenty of people are just BTS fans, just Monster X fans, just NCT fans. But I won't do all that. I'd literally never finish it. And guess what? The 1 or 2 K-pop journals I do have are never finished. Like, they're not finished. I look back, I have 1 6-reading binder and 1 bounded Etsy notebook, and they ain't done. I ain't finished them. I actually packed them away a month ago because I was tired of them just taking up space. And then I thought maybe I'll go back and finish them, and I don't want to. I don't want to. This sometime Namjoon be in some of my little spreads, absolutely. I still put him in there. I still put Joshua in there. I still put Mark Twain in there. But I ain't making no K-pop journal because I don't like a girl. You can like something, doesn't mean it's for you. I love watching football. Girl, I ain't playing football. I ain't doing powder puff. That ain't for me. And it may not be for you. You are on social media and you're watching TikTok and YouTube and you want to get in on it. And then when you get in on it, you buy all of this stuff for it. You realize you don't like it. You realize that it was fun to watch, but it's not something you really want in your life. So before you go all in, ask yourself, do you really like this? Or do you like the aesthetic of it and what you're seeing on social media, but you are not the type of person to put in the work for that? Maybe you're putting the work for something else, but not this. I lied. There's 5. There's not 6. I don't know where I got 6 from. But number 5 is, remember that nothing has to be aesthetic, nothing has to be plain, and everything can be aesthetic and everything can be plain. If you want to fill your journal with stickers, fill that with stickers. Who cares? If your whole journal is a collage, make it a collage. If you get on social media and you realize that your aesthetic is minimal and it's just a bunch of words, paragraph and paragraphs of your feelings, do that. If you realize that the only way you can journal is guided and you need to get on Pinterest and find all these different types of prompts, do that too. Keep in mind that the way you're doing it is the right way. I think we get really, really focused on doing things right or by the book or what people are saying you're supposed to do. But in actuality, what you're really doing is you're putting in money and work and you're doing all that stuff and getting other people's results. If you're watching my channel and you see a video that I did and you really, really enjoyed how I did something, that's great. But at the end of the day, you aren't enjoying it for you. You're enjoying what I put out. Because at the end of the day, if you're making your journals look like mine, look like any other creators, looking like your friends down the street, then it'll never be yours. All you're doing is paying for a journal, paying for supplies, and again, getting results like your friend, like me, like another creator. And that's not something you're going to enjoy. You're not going to look back years from now and say, I really like this because it was this person's aesthetic and I wanted that aesthetic. Because it's not going to feel like you. But I say all that to say, if all you're doing is putting in work and getting results that other people are getting, I don't care who the other people are. I don't care if you've always admired your mom because she was an amazing painter. If you go your whole life just doing what your mom was doing, then you're not gonna like it because it's her aesthetic. It's her way of painting. It's her way of doing stuff. If your grandmother or your grandfather was like really, really good at crocheting and you start mimicking all the patterns and designs and stuff that they crocheted, yeah, you might find out that it's really, really cute. You may like the end product, but then you may get to the point where you realize, I mean, this is cute, this is great, but it doesn't feel like me. If you know that you are very cutesy and girly and all this other stuff, but you see a creator put out a journal entry and the journal is really dark and gothic and stuff, and you emulate it, and then you're looking at it, you're just like, I don't really like this the way I did it. In your head, you're thinking it's because I'm not creative. I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm not as creative as this person. That's not what it is. The creator was doing what they wanted to do with their journal, with their hobby, and they did it in their own creative way. I don't know why I can't talk today. It's not that you can't do it, it's the fact that you don't want to. Deep down, you know. What did Freud talk about? Your ego and your inner ego, all that other shit, and your super ego? Deep down, inside, you don't like that, okay? Every time I try to put out a cutesy spread, I'm like, girl, you know good and well, ain't nothing cutesy about you. Do I sometimes dip my toes into that aesthetic, like the really cutesy Japanese type stuff? Absolutely. But is it my aesthetic? Girl, no. Listen, October rolled around and I was telling my mama, I said, now child, how am I gonna do Halloween decorations? My room looked like Halloween 24/7. When Valentine's Day roll around, I be wanting to get a little cute in here, and I'm like, how all these hearts gonna fit in my room? I ain't cutesy. I ain't lover girl. My baby sister, lover girl. Absolutely. My older sister, really like boho-ish. That's why when I buy stuff, I can't give it to one of them. What my sister's looking like wearing my killer clown shirt? It's not them. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I said I'm gonna start saying that more, but I always forget. And click the notification bell so you can be notified whenever I post. Thank you for 3,000 subscribers. That's amazing. I made a joke earlier about being on YouTube for almost 10 years and only having 3,000 subscribers, but it is what it is. Let me stop talking before this video becomes 40 minutes. Until next time, peace out, Girl Scouts. 'Cause I really hate you, 'cause you made me so blue, and I promise to